Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the story of Call of Duty. When it comes to the story of Call of Duty, there's many things that I like to look at. Sometimes it may be a timeline, a specific game, or even a specific character. Some characters being way more interesting, having way more backstory or changing moments or progression than others. But I think one that is more confusing, and I think a lot of people kind of tend to alleviate to, is Commander Phillip Graves. And I think the reason for that isn't necessarily because he's that interesting or has crazy interesting moments throughout the game, although I will say his voice acting and the way he's portrayed is really, really well done. I think the reason for that is it's very hard to tell what the motivations for Commander Phillip Graves actually are. And you'll see what I mean by that throughout the video, but what I wanted to do is kind of try to explain what those motivations actually are and explain what he is doing throughout the games that kind of tells us what he is motivated to do and why sometimes he is the bad guy and very, very evil. And other times he's helping out Task Force 141 and being a really good guy. What is his deal? Is he good or is he evil? Today, we answer that question. So an interesting thing about Commander Phillip Graves is we have no backstory on him whatsoever, where he worked before Shadow Company or anything like that. All we know is that he is a mercenary for hire in Shadow Company, working for General Shepard. We are first introduced to him providing AC-130 overwatch to Task Force 141 within Mexico.
Loaders, get your rounds in the can.
Yes, Commander.
Nav, set heading for that compound.
Roger.
Fire officer, keep a hand on that hot switch. We're just getting started here.
Solid copy.
Pilot, you have the con. Once on station, circle the target. Bring us around.
Sir.
Com, get me General Shepard.
Raj, stand by. Shepard's up, sir.
Gold Eagle Actual, this is Shadow 1. How copy?
Loud and clear, Shadow 1. Send traffic.
I had to bail your boys out. Luckily, they have friends in high places.
That's what you're there for. Tell me something good.
We got a hit on Hassan. Approaching the target location now. We'll get this bastard rolled up for a little talking to.
That's what I like to hear. Report back when Hassan's in the bag.
Roger that. Out here. All Shadows, listen up. These guys on the ground, Mexican Special Forces, 141, they are your brothers now. Treat them like your own. And let's get this done, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Ghost, this is Shadow 1, orbiting the compound now. Standing by for visual.
Shadow 1, Bravo 07. We'll mark our position with IR laser, over.
Roger that, 07.
Now, what we do know is that 2 months before this, Shadow Company was transporting ballistic missiles, and they were doing so in an area that was occupied by the Coney Ultranationalists. Now, it's important to state that Commander Phillip Graves wasn't here. However, he was the commander behind this operation. So they were delivering these ballistic missiles, and as they did, they got raided by Coney Ultranationalists. They were overcome, and these ballistic missiles were taken. It's also important to note that this was a black bag operation, completely off the books and done by paid-for mercenaries, something that isn't uncommon. And also something to note, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but what followed up was. Because these missiles were given to Al-Qatala, an enemy of the United States. And because of this, General Shepard and Shadow Company felt as though they had failed. So when Task Force 141 stumbles upon one of these missiles and thinks, why does Al-Qatala have American missiles? Things get a little bit confusing, and General Shepard and Shadow Company try to cover it up. So yes, General Shepard sends in Shadow Company to help Task Force 141 track down these missiles, but also to cover his own tail. So Commander Phillip Graves works with Task Force 1 to track down Elsa Nombre, and then eventually interrogates her, finds out the location of the next missile, and together, alongside Task Force 141, they take out and destroy the next ballistic missile. So up until this point, Commander Phillip Graves is good guy, Commander Phillip Graves. But that doesn't last long, because after they take out this missile, they go back to the Los Vaqueros compound, kind of like the Mexican militia, and when they do, Shadow Company has completely taken over and thrown a bunch of the members of the Los Vaqueros into jail. And they say that they have done this under orders of General Shepard. Again, covering his tail, hiding what he did, and therefore, Task Force 141 and Shadow Company commence a fight.
My men are inside!
I'm afraid not. Your men have been detained.
Graves, what the fuck?
Hands off of me!
was a big mistake, brother. Did not have to be like this. Son of a bitch. Find him!
So at this point, Shadow Company has gone full evil. They are literally killing citizens at this point. It is quite crazy how they went from 0 to 60 so fast. So at this point, Graves evil. So eventually, working their way through the city and getting to a safe house, Task Force 141 decides to go after Shadow Company and specifically Commander Phillip Graves. And they seemingly do so. They are fighting him seemingly in a tank. They blow up the tank and boom, just like that, Commander Phillip Graves is dead. But as we find out within, I believe it was season 5 of Modern Warfare 2, that wasn't the case. He wasn't in that tank.
Welcome, Graves.
Heard you died in a tank in South America.
Well, I wasn't in that tank. What else you heard?
So from here, Graves now once again wants to work together with Task Force 141 to stop a new threat, Vladimir Makarov and the Coney Ultranationalists, as they move into El Mazrah to seemingly take some sort of chemical weapon that is being held there. So they work together and fight together, but like always, the Coney Ultranationalists and Makarov once again have the upper hand and end up taking these chemical weapons. This leads us to the story of Modern Warfare 3. Now, behind the scenes, what you don't really see within the campaign is that throughout this time, Shadow Company and specifically Commander Phillip Graves have been working alongside Farah Karim and the ULF, or the Urzikstan Liberation Forces. He has literally been trying to help them fight against the Coney Ultranationalists and keep their land. So once again, we've got good guy Graves. So this is where things get interesting, because in Modern Warfare 3, Graves is reintroduced once again by General Shepard. And in doing so, he says that Graves can help out in this mission that they are going on. Task Force 141 is extremely hesitant and doesn't want to work with him. However, Farah ends up stepping in and essentially says, he's been really helping us. I really think that we should trust him. He can help us out on this mission. And indeed, he does. But after this, there is then a meeting where General Shepard and Commander Phillip Graves have to pay the piper, and they are put in front of Congress to tell the truth about the Urzikstan Liberation Forces and what happened with Task Force 141. This is what they say.
Much has been said about the ULF. Are Farah Karim and her soldiers a terror organization?
No, Farah Karim is and always has been an ally to the United States and our Western partners in the region.
Yes. How did Commander Karim obtain American armament?
For nearly a decade, I sent weapons to Commander Karim to support her missions against Al-Qatala and Russian incursions into Urzikstan.
Were those shipments legal?
No. In order to save lives, I commissioned illegal shipments with funds I approved myself.
Quiet, please. General Shepard, in October of 2022, did you authorize Shadow Company to fire on a task force under your command in Las Almas, Mexico?
No, I did not.
Mr. Graves, were you given orders to use lethal force against TF-141?
Yes, I was.
Quiet in this chamber. Who gave you those orders?
General Herschel Shepard.
Did you act on those orders, Mr. Graves?
No, absolutely not, sir.
Quiet!
So many of you watching this are probably going to say that Graves is evil for this because he lied. He said that he never acted upon the orders of General Shepard. And this is where we have to go back and take a look, because I believe that he is actually telling the truth. And what I mean by this is if we go back to that scene where Task Force 141 is fighting Shadow Company, they get into this altercation, Graves only ends up taking 2 shots that graze the arm of Soap McTavish. He had the opportunity to take several kill shots at Ghost, Soap, and Alejandro and doesn't. He does not actually try to take out and eliminate Task Force 141. However, the rest of Shadow Company does follow those orders. That's why we see them in Mexico killing civilians. It wasn't Graves doing it, it was the rest of Shadow Company. So is he responsible? I would say kind of, and even he says that he didn't kill the Los Vaqueros, they were detained. So is Commander Phillip Graves evil? It's a really tough question to answer, but based off of all of the information, helping the Urzikstan Liberation Forces, not shooting at Task Force 141 and probably killing them when he had the chance to, and then telling the Congress the actual truth about General Shepard, overall, I would have to say that Commander Phillip Graves is actually a good character. He wants his actions to be good, but he was forced and put into this horrible situation because of what happened with Shadow Company, and then he didn't want to disobey orders of General Shepard. Is money his main motivator? Probably, but at the same time, I think his moral compass is mostly in the right place. And I think in the future, we will see him come back as a good character. And yes, Task Force 141 will probably always have their reservations, as they should. He did some pretty crappy stuff, but as a whole, I think his heart is in the right place. But if you disagree, let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Is Commander Phillip Graves evil after you've looked at all of the information? But if you like these kind of story videos, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, that kind of thing. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars.